Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what is EPM? Okay. So apart from Muthu, anyone understands what is the purpose why companies use EPM, which is Endpoint Privilege Management?
No.
Any guesses? Anyone heard of CyberArk?
CyberArk is it a privileged PAM solution?
Hmm. So it is, yeah, it's like that. So CyberArk, or if you go,
We are using Beyond Trust. Same like that.
yeah, same like that. Mm, Normally, what happens is every non yeah, see, CyberArk, for example, was one of the top leader for a long time. So what the product does is normally every laptop in every user in every organization, they are standard users. But there is a requirement where we might need to elevate a person as an administrator for certain applications and certain processes or certain folders. So this is it's like just in time access and also forever access for that just in user access. So CyberArk, like, if it's a standard user and if you are asked to run some application like SAP application installer, or if you belong to some businesses where SAP is used for most of the application and you require some administration controls for certain applications or certain processes. Only for those processes, administrators will create a policy for those files, for those based on file hashes or based on certificates, publisher certificates, and they whitelist you so that when you right click and click on run as administrator, for that process, it will not ask an administrator username and password. But for rest of the entire system, you will actually be the normal standard user. So this is an additional license. I mean, it doesn't come with Intune Plan 1. You have to go and add either Intune Suite or have a standalone licenses for EPM. So why? Because Microsoft says you are effectively replacing a third-party solution, which is a cost for your organization, and you'll get this for a fraction of a price. Besides that, you are actually integrating with your existing endpoint management solution. So that's their pitch, sales pitch. So I'm not saying this is the perfect product in the world. There are many other tools. Yeah, CyberArk, Beyond Trust. I think there is another one with Cisco, uh, where you can actually whitelist certain things. Okay, so if you read it, the initial documentation, it users can run as a standard user without administrative rights and complete the task that require elevated privileges. Okay, that's the business case. So tasks that commonly require administrative privileges or application installs like these and updating device drivers, certain Windows diagnostics, they all require endpoint privilege management. So they put these statements with zero trust. So zero trust is one huge viral IT term. Every organization user starts using the word zero trust mainly because uh, with the amount of threats and amount of cyber attacks. So basically, it means that don't trust anyone, including your own people, your own devices, own organizations. So unless you prove yourself every access, you're not allowed access to certain those resources. So that is meaning of zero trust. So as a part of zero trust, they say even this should be implemented to completely uh, achieve your zero trust policies. So what are the key features? It says that users can perform their tasks without local admin rights, just-in-time elevation, whether IT, you as an Intune admin or someone who can be given that permission within Intune can click on approve and they can approve for certain time, certain days, all that. Okay, so this is like a beginning. It's just 2 years old product. It keeps evolving. Not all customers are still using it. Once the product gets stabilized, it could probably replace many people's third-party solutions in their organizations, like remote help, for example. Had a lot of drawbacks initially when it was announced compared to the competition, and then they overcame all of the requirements that customer needs, and now it's commonly used by most organizations. So there are two things in EPM. First of all, this is not an MDM related functionality. So none of your MDM agents, which is an inbuilt MDM agent, will work on this. Okay, only it is not related to Intune policies, which is the OMA DM client doesn't pull all of these details. So Microsoft actually developed a product of functionality in both operating systems. And by the way, if you look at the requirements, it's only uh, applicable for the latest Windows operating system, the latest Windows 11. Okay, so why? Because they added another uh, layer of I mean functionality, an agent, a kind of an agent within the Windows operating system. So Intune can send something called there is something called DPMMC, that declarative provisioning, Microsoft management cloud something. Okay, so I'll show what is exactly is that. So that will, whatever you deploy a policy here, it'll go and talk to that service, and that service will go and send that information to your Windows client. Okay, so your Windows client will register to that service, and that service from there it will pull the policies. So we don't have an agent, I said, but we have to deploy an agent. Okay, so how do we deploy an agent? So any questions, any confusion here? You know, now understand why do we use this, right? So uh, coming to where we deploy, there is a separate section in endpoint security called as endpoint privilege management. And policies are here. As you can see, this is generally available. If you want to use this add-on, I think I have a license. Okay. So the add-on, you have to create something like this. So first, you need to create something called as a EPM settings. And once those settings are deployed to the Windows operating system, you can apply policies then later. Okay, both at a time you can do, but you have to first deploy the settings. Those settings are nothing but, for example, if you right click something on a Windows machine or a Windows file, you don't see that option, right? You'll see normal Windows option. So if you see right click and run as administrator, that is native to Windows. And if you click any file and right click, you will see a new option now, run with elevated privileges with some EPM or Intune logo, this logo, okay? Which means that we have to first deploy those settings. And after that, we have to define the policies. So if you go to platforms and Windows, we have two things. One is the settings policy and then is the rules policy. So settings policy is just, it's like a client. I'm deploying those settings so that EPM can be managed. So I say uh, EPM settings and how you want your EPM settings to be behaved. Okay, so default elevation response is what's sorry, default response. So what is the default is basically saying if you right click and say run as elevated privileges on any file, what should be the default behavior? Do you require support approval or require user confirmation? Like, if someone needs to run some file, he might require a user confirmation, and he might authenticate to a Windows, or he might type entering a business justification and start using that application. Okay. So if I say by require support approval, okay, so it means that it will go as a request here in the endpoint privilege management. If you go to endpoint security, endpoint privilege management, and elevation request, your request will be here pending. Okay, so you can just click on that and IT will approve it. And after the approval, they'll get a notification that your request has been approved and you will start using that particular request. So if I say user confirmation and I can say business justification, then you'll get something like business justification where you need to enter something. So if you say send elevation report, yeah, you will say elevation
We go
report
for if we go for
and
this
then
approval.
request.
Hello.
Yeah,
If we go for the approval, then every time it will go for approval
no,
when it.
only once for the first
Okay.
time because you are asking a permission for entering for some process or some file, right? So only once it
Mm,
will ask.
oh, okay, only once. After that,
Yeah,
user will be able to
all, yes, correct.
do that by himself. No?
Yes. So this is
So
diagnosed
is there any permission so that it can ask for every time?
every time.
Because if we give the permission for all the time, it will be a security breach. Na? And user can run, or we can provide
If
this
you
access
want, then you
only
can
for
go
one
to
file.
required support approval.
Mm,
Okay, and then I think there is an option. Let's see. Okay, so I have not been here for a long time. So I think, let's see, there should be an option in the policy.
okay.
Uh, Elevation, yeah. So yeah, that is reporting scope. You can just ignore that. And I'll go ahead and assign to maybe all users and all devices. And this is now a settings policy. Okay, so let's see if that gets deployed. So now, what is the policy that we'll create? Okay, so if it's a Windows, now I have to go ahead and create a rules policy. Okay, so if I click on rules and say Intune rules policy or something, some file, say for example, mm, you you can think of some application like Notepad plus plus maybe. Okay, so I'm just giving example. Okay, and then click on next. And in the privilege management, so this is what you will get, right? So user confirmed. And once you click on this, we can start editing the instance. Let me just, yes, next, edit instance, instance name, rule name, allow notepad, okay, plus plus. Okay, so this is now elevation type. Elevation type is automatic, deny, or support approved. If I want to deny that application, I can just click on right away deny. Okay, so but all and then I have to say deny notepad plus plus, right? So that will be a policy. And child process behavior, so you can say deny all. So file name, and these have to be very accurate. And how do I get it is, let me just check if I have any file, downloads. So let me go ahead and download some file. So that should be your file. So, and then file path wherever it is, wherever it's installed. So this is where the important thing comes, okay? So I can upload a certificate file for that file, or I can run as not configured and create a hash file. So for every file, there is an hash. Okay, so if you go to Google and just say, mm, get hash of a file in Windows, you will see there should be some command like, get file hash of that command. Okay, so if you want me to go, so I'll go here, run cmd here and download and run cmd here, and then PowerShell, and use this get underscore file hash, and then notepad plus plus line. Or so is this the setting? Yeah, get file hash. Yeah, so I got this hash. Okay, so for every file, normally a hash is generated by Windows. So I can copy this file, okay, and then only this file, okay. So when I say this file, so it's very basic, okay. Normally people use it for known resources that are there in their share drives or any kind of spam files. This is how actually virus also, antivirus also work. If they know some malware is really causing a problem, they calculate the hash and then upload it, right? So the hash file, I can put it in my Intune console like this, and then this will be a hash file. So you can ignore all of that. And if you want to put, I don't know what is this, it says specific argument for base delegation. If I say allowed argument list, I'm not sure on this. Let's see, or just go by default. So it's now denies notepad, okay? So, and this I'll go ahead and assign it to all users, maybe all devices, and I'll click on this. So now these two policies will go ahead and deploy to those machines, right? So we'll see how does that look, but it will take time for it to be deployed, correct? But let's see. I'll do a further sync. Okay, so let it sync. I think it will take time for sure because it's not MDM, but I'll just run through some PPT so that you'll understand much better. Okay, so because there's a demo also here. So if you see again, if you want to get more details on all of this, right? So look at this. It talks about the features, basically the same thing that I said. It's again copied from the the Microsoft document itself. Okay, so it allows administrators to control which applications users can install and run on their devices. Okay, so this is just-in-time access. It says JET is there. It allows users a temporary request access to specific resources that they need to complete their tasks, which means that whatever Gurmeet had said, it should work, okay? But there should be some option. I'll just look at it. Okay. So I'm muting. So now low and the least privilege enables organization to restrict users to have the minimum set of permissions and all that. Okay. So this is again what happens within the user mode and then admin mode and then system. Okay. So ignore that. So you might not require it. So what is required is simply a tenant, Intune tenant with a license. And then one second. And then the client requirement is anything above 22H2 with this KB installed. And for Windows 10, it is 22H2 with this KB installed. It supports hybrid AD join and also Entra join and even on the Windows 365 Cloud PC. Okay. The workplace join is not supported, which is registered. So just a walkthrough. If you look at this, this the person who is doing this demo here, what he tried, he used this exe procmon. Okay. So, but first he'll calculate the hash file here so that we can use